Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be working on sharpening a chainsaw. We're going to go over a few different files, chain sizes, and things like that. I got a lot of new chainsaw carvers on here. This should be able to help you guys out in keeping your saw sharp. This also help out the homeowner that doesn't want to keep replacing chains. Same thing with you new carvers, you beginners. You don't have to continuously replace a chain just because it's dull. You should be learning to sharpen it. And so I'm going to show you guys the way that I do that, the files that I'm using, and how to kind of figure out what you need to do it yourself. It's easy, it's simple, it's basic, it's a little skill that you should have if you're running chainsaws. So if you're interested in learning how I do that, be sure to give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, don't go anywhere because we're going to get started. Alright guys, so I got a bunch of saws set up, bunch of files, and a bunch of different things here going on. What I want to start with first, I think, is the saw that like a homeowner might have, the casual saw. The saw I know a lot of beginner carvers are using. And that's going to be the MS-170. Alright, this comes with a stock bar, or this is the stock bar and chain. You guys can find your bar and chain information right on the bar. It might be on this side or on the inside. That's all these little numbers right here on your bar. Now that is on most brand saws. In this case, we got an old Poulan. It's wore off. I'm not sure exactly what this one would need, and so I would have to look it up. Same thing for you. If you can't find the numbers or see them, jump on that Google machine and search it. I don't have the answers to everything. Google does though, right? So use it. Use it to your advantage. Search, look it up. So the 170. Clearing off my bar here, cleaning it up. I know this is a 16-inch bar, and it says 3/8P. It's a 3/8 pitch chain, and then it has a .043. Okay, so it's a 43 gauge chain. Now, when I was looking at the dealer, steel dealer, and I was looking around for a file, I had talked to a couple guys, like, what file fits this? How do I figure that out? He said, well, what you need is the file that fits a 3/8 chain, 3/8 pitch, and 43 gauge. So we got to have the right pitch and the right chain size. Trying to remember which one here. So I ended up getting this as a file. Now this is a great file for you guys, for you beginners to get used to using. This is a 3/8 pitch file from Steel. It's got the bar, the rod, the file rod for the tooth, and it's got the flat file to take down that raker that's in front of the tooth. Now you can also buy just a flat file and a round file to fit. I can't remember which size I use. I think I got a 3/8. So I do have a 3/8 file. Yeah, that's the one I use on here. So you can also buy your files through Steel, right? They come in a package like this. Now this file here says right on it, fits 1/4 pitch and 3/8 pitch chain. That's going to be this one. I know this is that file. I write it on my handle. All this is a little stick. You can buy a handle, right, for better grip. That came in a kit from something else, but I have different files, so they all go on a little stick handle. Now, we're going to get in. I'm going to actually show you guys how to do this, but I'm just showing you how to figure out what file size you need. So I know these two things will work, and this will work. This is a great gauge, though, to get your teeth perfect every time. I'll show you how to use it, so don't go anywhere. We're going to get into that. Now, I've got a little bit bigger saw, my MS-271. Again, looking at the bar. All right, you look across, 18-inch bar, cool. Right here it says .325. Okay, and then I go down below that and it says .063. So it's a bigger tooth, 43 gauge, 63 gauge. Let's see. Yep, this is the one. So looking at this, it says .325. Again, I ask questions. I go to the dealer because I run steel saws, and I ask questions. If you got a saw from Walmart or Home Depot or someplace else where you can't ask questions, it's a little bit different. I don't have answers for all that, right? So you got to look up the saw and look up the gauge chain that it's running if it's not already on the saw, right? So in this case, that information, let's see here, doesn't really seem to be on there. Although, right here on the handle it says 16-inch 40 cm. Well, this says 4-0 mm. Looking at the chains myself, they look pretty darn close in size. So for me, I'm going to use the same file I use on this 170 on this Predator, Poulan Predator. We'll probably sharpen both of these together here in a minute. So, bigger gauge file for a bigger chain. Every file doesn't fit every size. You've got to match them up, okay? Talk to a dealer about it. You know, even if you've got a saw from somewhere else, if you got some cool guys that work at the local steel dealer, or if you know a chainsaw guy that's local who has a shop, you can always go to the shop with the numbers off your saw and say, what kind of file do I need for this? How do I figure this out, right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of research. You can also jump on the internet, search it around, look up your saw, look up your chain size, and figure out what file fits. I can't, you know, that's like the general rule of thumb of figuring that out, because every saw is different, every chain is different. So you gotta do a little research, but that's kind of the way it goes. So we got a bigger file for this bigger chain on this saw. Now I gotta move this out of the way. This one's already sharp, we're not gonna mess with it. Talk about the carving saw, all right? The detail, dime tip bar. This is a 1/4 pitch chain. This is the small 43 gauge, okay? That, I do not have one of these for. They said they make them for that 1/4 pitch, but I haven't bought one yet. And so what I use is my flat file, and I reach over and I grab the small file that says on it 1/4 to 3/8 pitch. Now it's a pretty small file, and that will fit right in there to do your teeth, okay? So it'll all be pretty much the same deal. We're matching up what fits, and again, the information's on the bar as far as, you know, as far as steel goes. So let's go ahead. These need to be sharpened, so we're going to work on that today. First thing I like to do is get my files all set up, knowing what I'm going to use, what I want to use to file my saw with, setting other files out of the way so I don't reach for them, grab the wrong one. I also like to get a pair of gloves on. Your chain's going to be sharp. You don't want to cut yourself. I also like to make sure I'm wearing a shirt. I don't mind getting dirty. Sleeves, my arms, I tend to get dirty when I do this when I'm carving, because there's two different ways that I sharpen, okay? One is when I'm on the fly. I'm carving, I need to get it sharp so I can continue to work, continue to carve, continue to cut. And that's when I bust out the flat file and the round file for that specific saw. Chain break off. If it's a battery powered saw, remove the battery. All right, take the battery out and set it aside. Something malfunctions, that saw kicks on, guess what? Your fingers are gone. So anyway, one way that I like to do it when I'm in a rush is I put this on a log, something that's middle of your stomach to chest high, so I don't have to hunch over too far. And I put it in my armpit, and the glove, come down here, and I hold my bar. And then we take the file and push it through. And as we push, we give it a little twist. I'm gonna bring the camera in close so you guys can see. Push, a little bit of a twist, right? We'll do each tooth 1, 2, 3, 4 times, whatever they need to stay sharp. So come on, get a little closer. Let's take a look. All right, so if I'm gonna use, let's start with the flat file, not the round, sorry. If I'm gonna use this flat file by hand, what you wanna do is you look at your teeth, all right? So you start on one side and then we go to the other. So in this case, I wanna start on the left side of the bar, and all the teeth are angled this way. This is the angle of the teeth, right? They're angled this way. You'll know when you're looking directly at your chain. The other side, they angle the opposite way, okay? The angle is where it's sharp on your tooth. So I take my flat file. This is from steel. These flat files have a smooth edge. A lot of files, the teeth run over the edges. You don't want to use that. You want this smooth edge style file if this is what you're going to do. So I like to put the smooth edge up to the tooth, push it away. push it away, push it away. Sometimes it only takes 1, 2, 3 times. If you take too much raker off, the tooth is going to have more grab, all right? It gets harder to control the saw. It has too much bite for these smaller saws sometimes, so they're tough to cut. Then you have to file the tooth back. And so when is a good time to use this flat file by hand? I will break it out and hit every tooth maybe 2 or 3 times, but not until I'm on my 2nd or 3rd sharpening. Okay, so, and what I mean is, your saw is dull, you go through and you sharpen it with the round file, all your teeth. Do that. Carve, it's dull again. Go through and sharpen. Carve, it's dull again. Now you're going to sharpen again for the 3rd time. Okay? That 3rd time, you take out your flat file first, and then you come through and hit all those rakers, maybe just twice. Sometimes all it takes is just a little bit. You hit them all twice. Okay, so what I like to do is have the saw with a good grip, or, so you don't go cutting your hands, get yourself a chunk of wood, or if you have a vise, you put your saw up on there so it doesn't move, put it in your armpit, take that file, run along the tooth. On top of that raker though. Hopefully this makes sense, guys. Right? So we come on to the next one. Give it a spin. Remember where you left off, okay? Come through. Not looking to take a ton of material off here. So when you look at your chain, honestly, this is where you should start. On the 170, you've got 2 teeth that face the exact same way with nothing between them. All right, and you got your green link on this chain in case. Start in that spot, and you remember to finish in that spot is usually a good rule of thumb. Right, so you go through, we want to do all these teeth. Knock them all down. Now these teeth don't really need this because this chain is new and I've only sharpened it once. So we've done this, we've gone through, right, we did the whole one side. Go back to where you start after you've done the entire chain. Now come back through on the other side. If you're doing the armpit trick, you switch arms, put it in your other armpit, come through, line it up with the angle of the tooth, come across. We're not pushing down super hard, we're gliding the file over the raker. Now, this file isn't grabbing super crazy because it's older. I've used it 100 times. When that happens, you can go ahead. So like even the round files, this will happen. They'll get gunked up. So will your flat file. Get a brass brush. I know this one's steel, but metal is steel. Get a brass brush. Go with the teeth and just clean out those teeth. All right, the file itself. So I go with the grain, like all the lines run this way. So I pull those through, just clean it up. Same thing with this, kind of looking at it, I just pull it across if it's not filing good. Sometimes I get a little rusty. Clean those up. You'll feel a whole difference, especially if it's dirty. All right, so we do all our rakers on the other side. Now let's go through and use the round file. Again, figure out your starting point. Mine's usually by that master link where the 2 teeth are running the same way for this saw. And what I want to do is look at the angle of that tooth and put the bar in. When you look at the file bar, there's a flat spot with no teeth. I start with that. All right, because we're freehanding it, this is where we got to be paying attention. So put it in with a little bit of force toward me. Like you're going back and up, just a little, nothing crazy. You don't want to bend and break your file. We run it forward. And as we run forward, we're giving it a twist. Not that dramatic, but you're giving it a twist like that direction. So push forward and I twist just ever so slightly as it moves. Okay. Hopefully this makes sense. Now in this case, it does take a few minutes, so I'm going to go through and do every tooth. I'm only hitting these teeth twice. Just put a razor edge back on there. Now, some people say you gotta do whatever you do on one side, you should do on the other. If your chain has no nicks, no chips out of the teeth, I agree with that. All right? You want your teeth on the chain to be sharp. That's the goal. Your chain, if you're trying to make straight cuts like for firewood, is gonna curve because a tooth is dull or has a piece missing, like it's chipped really bad. So if you guys can notice, we're already done with that side of those teeth. It doesn't take long. So we will switch arms. I'll spin the camera around this way. Hopefully you guys will be able to see. And we're gonna come back the opposite direction, all right? So start with the two teeth, pick one, try to keep the angle. So as you're going through, we're trying to keep the angle of the tooth, the angle that's already on it. Now, like I said, this is normally just a fast thing. These are not perfect because I'm doing it by hand, but they're sharp and they will cut. So firewood cutting, wanting to cut straight lines and carve and things like that, you want your teeth all to be really sharp, right? If you got a tooth that's chipped or marred up, that one you need to file maybe 1 or 2 extra times. So what does that mean? Take a look at it, all right? Like you can look at the teeth and say, geez, it's got a nice edge. You can go, man, there's a chip in that. So you take your file and do the same thing you've been doing. Go through and spend some time on that tooth. Hit it 3, 4 times or more. Saws tend to cut crooked in my experience because a tooth is chipped or it's dull or missing. That happens sometimes too. All right, so these teeth are done. I'm done with this saw already. Let's bring you guys in here close. See if the camera will focus here for us, all right? So you guys can see when the file goes in, right? See the round of the file? This is where you're coming back and up just a little. Just a little bit of pressure. And then as you go in, you're doing this. So I've seen some people like, see how we're going this way through the tooth, right? With the angle. See the angle? And we're going this way. Then you go to the next tooth, and we're going this way, and lifting it out, starting over and pushing through. There is no pulling back. We're not pulling back through a tooth. Don't do that. So, again, start this, push it through, and do all of them on this side, because you're set up to do all of them. So it's this tooth, skip that one because it faces the wrong way, do the next tooth, push. Couple times. Skip this tooth because it faces the wrong way. Do the next tooth, all right? Same thing goes with the flat file. If you start on this side, do all of them on this side. Line it up with the angle. 1, 2, skip a tooth. Go to the next tooth. 1, 2, skip a tooth. Go to the next tooth, okay? But again, I do this every 3rd time I sharpen if need be. So I hit the 170 a few times. I'm calling that done. It's good. Now I'm going to set aside these quick ones, call these my quick files, and we're going to pull out the one with the jig. Now, the one with the jig's a little different. It can be tough to try and do this because it kind of needs to be done with 2 hands. So trying to like hold your saw in place while you're trying to file, it can just be difficult, you guys. It really can. And then my other thing is I'm kind of so trying to remember how in the world this goes always gets me goofy. All right, sorry. So when you look at your file, there's an arrow on these files, and that's going to be the direction that you're pushing. Because this is just like the last one. You push it through, lift it out, start from the beginning and push it through, lift it out. And there's angles cut on here. make sure that angle and everything lines up with the tooth, because your round file should fit in the tooth and the flat file should be sitting on top of your raker. Now, I don't do this every time. If I sharpen the saw 3-4 times by hand, I will do this on the 3rd or 4th time. So it depends on what's going on. Like, this doesn't come with me when I go do on-site jobs. These do. And so the flat file will get the 3rd or 4th time on site. If I'm home and I'm on my time to do it for the 3rd or 4th time, I will set up and use this jig to do it, because you get a little more accurate. It squares everything back up where it should be for the most part. Now, again, you can do it this way, right? And hold it, and you're trying to, like, there's so many parts that are moving here, right? Because you're trying to keep a hand on here so you can keep it flush. The saw moves and everything moves. So to use this, I recommend you get this little clamp, or use your jaw horse. But you see this little clamp right here? Steel makes it, other brands do too. And what you want to do is put it in a log that's high enough so you don't have to crouch down, or maybe you can sit in a chair. Doing it this way, in a dry slice of log, normally the log will just split off, okay, because you're hammering it down in. You hammer it down in, it's good and solid. In this case, this piece is green, so it's not moving on me, but we got lucky. Anyway, you take the thumb screw, open it up, put your saw in there. And I want that thumb screw to get into about the middle, little bit past middle. So this is a little bit higher. Okay, there's a flat spot on that. Twist it all together. Make sure the chain isn't bound up. Chain break off. Saw's a pain in the butt. Chain break off, right? Chain's not bound anywhere. And I tighten it down. Okay. So this is now ready to go to start sharpening. Let's see if we can get you guys in here. Now we're going to use the same concept as before. All right, we want to make sure we're filing in the proper direction, like I just showed you with the last file. And now we have hands freed up. So doing this isn't necessarily ideal on a workbench like I just did, because this is going to, like, this whole piece is going to move on me, which is going to be a pain. So if you do it on a big log, or you're able to put it in a vise where everything is good and solid, it'll make life way, way easier. So we start here, our arrow is facing away. The round file on the bottom is to us, and the flat file is away from us. That's how it should fit, right? The tooth that we want to start with is first, and then the raker is second. This tooth is angled this way, and so we'll do all the teeth angled this way. Let me see if I can find a, I don't know if this chain has a master link or not. Oh, we got a skipped tooth here, so we will start with one just past that. Now you can put your chain brake on so nothing moves. And with this, I do a little bit of back pressure, just a little, both hands, right? We're gripping the thing. And we start filing. All right, 2 to 3 times is usually pretty good for what I need. You guys can spend as much time as you like. Oop, see, everything's moving on me here. Chain brake don't always like to release on this saw. So you're hoping to end with the angle you started with, right? So the plastic is touching the bar. We want to end with the plastic touching the bar. These teeth I'm hitting 3 times. The saw's pretty dull. We're going to be doing some carving videos with it, though. I think I got it running really good. So that is my plan. Very beginner chainsaw carving videos with this Poulon Predator. Should be some good stuff. Want to get a few of those out. Then we're going to go ahead and kind of just continue to work on a series, hopefully working all the way up to the most pro tips that I might have for carving. I don't consider myself a professional carver, but there are some techniques not every carver knows. That's a beginner. Okay, so now we want to do the other side of the teeth. So we would spin around our log, leave it all clamped in. There's no point in unclamping it. So if we look and we say, oh, okay, well, we've been filing this way, and we just move the file, it doesn't line up. Like it doesn't line up. So we flip the file over. Now look, arrow's facing that way, and the round, because there's two round files in here, and now we're lined up again to do this side. Let's find the tooth we want to start with. Come on, chain break. Get that one back. Again, put the file in where it should be. Work our way across. So by doing this, this file takes down the rakers to the appropriate height and is sharpening your tooth. So that is the nice thing about these files. It's doing everything all at once for you. So you don't have to go back through and, you know, after your flat file, then do the round file. This does it all, same time, which is really quite beneficial, but I feel like it takes just a little more time to set up and have a spot and bring the clamp. But I mean, it's all about what you want to do. See that little clamp keeps coming out on me. Like that one more time. All right, I'm calling that all done. Now, again, it doesn't mean that file is for this saw. It's just what I have. And so I said, the heck with it, it's what I'm going to use. Picked this saw up on the marketplace, something everybody could get for pretty cheap, and you know, to do some carving tutorials. So let's see here if we can look at our teeth. It's kind of tough with the camera, but they're sharp. They look good. All the teeth were looking good on this to begin with. Well, guys, that's it. This concept, this process can be applied to any chainsaw of any chain size that I am aware of. I do this same thing for the dime tip saw. You know, my dime tip carving saw. I do the same thing with my 441 Magnum. I do the same thing with the MS250. I do the same thing with the 170, all the battery saws. Even this Poulan. I've even got a Craftsman out there. We sharpen it the same way. So they all sharpen the same way. It's just looking up and finding the file you need, matching your file to your pitch and chain size. Again, it's the sort of thing where talking to a dealer if need be, or looking it up online for the saw that you have, can make life easier. It really can. Hopefully I've been able to answer the questions that you're looking for. I'm sure we'll get some comments from guys that are, you know, chainsaw guys. I did this wrong, I did that wrong. It's the nature of the beast. I get it. Someone else is doing the same thing, but a little different, a little better, you know, whatever. I had a bunch of people ask for this video, and so that's why I said, I'll do it. We'll put it out there. I realize it's probably going to get critiqued, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. This is the way I do it and the way I'll continue to do it, because this works for me. My saws are sharp. I'm able to get the job done, and I don't have any issues. So hopefully you won't have any issues either. Now, this is a whole process that you're a homeowner and you just occasionally cut, you know, you're out there cutting, your saw is smoking, your bar, your chain is dull. Stop. Sharpen it. You don't have to go buy a new chain just because your chain is smoking and it's dull. Get a file, spend some time, right? Follow the steps I just showed you and sharpen that chain. One, it'll save you money on getting a new chain every time you want to run your saw. Two, you're going to have the satisfaction of, look at what I just did. I made a razor sharp edge on my chainsaw and now it cuts like butter. Trust me, it's a good feeling, you know, especially if you run chainsaw once in a while. It's also a good feeling if you're a new carver. You don't have to keep spending that money on a chain all the time. Now, there's a lot of carvers that buy new chains constantly. new and old even. Buy chains constantly. I mean, I carve a lot, but I don't think I carve enough to go through chains a ton. I don't sharpen chains like 6, 7, 8, 10 times. When they're sharp, they're sharp. Why continue to sharpen it? If the tooth is dull, you need to sharpen until it's sharp. That's the key. So paying attention, you know, as to how many times you're doing that for each one, but rule of thumb, do 2 to 3 all the way around. And as you're going, you're looking at the teeth. Now that one's jacked up. Let's do that one 3 or 4 times, maybe 5. Next one looks good. All right, 3 times. That one's bad. 4 times or 5 times. You know what I mean? And look in there, in the cut of the tooth. Does it look sharp all the way around? Is there a nick still out of it? If it's still a nick, hit it again. Go back, look. So those are things that you guys can do. That's how I do it, at least. I seem to not have any issues. Maybe I'm just lucky, or maybe I am doing it right. Who knows? So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it'll help you get your saws good and sharp. Hope you guys stay safe. Remember your safety gear, all right? Be aware of your surroundings. For those of you carving, make some sawdust. Keep gripping and ripping. And make some cool stuff, all right, guys? Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out some links down below. I'll try to link up some files. You guys can follow me on social media. Also, big thank you to all my members. You guys rock. Thanks for helping support the channel. If these videos help you out, they're helping you learn to carve, helping you sharpen your saws, and you're like, man, I really like watching you and I want to support you, you can become a member as well. I believe there's a members link down in the description, or you can find the join or members button right next to where you hit subscribe on the main page of my channel. So that's it. Let's take a breath. A lot of talking in there. Yeah. Hope you guys have an awesome day. I gotta go make some stuff. I will see you guys in the next video.